Welcome to the Bare Metal Cyber CISSP Prepcast. This series helps you prepare for the ISC² CISSP exam with focused explanations and practical context. In this episode, we're focusing on a fundamental component of business resilience, disaster recovery planning, with special attention to two essential metrics: recovery time objective, also known as RTO, and recovery point objective, or RPO. These two terms are core to disaster recovery strategy, and understanding them is crucial for ensuring that your organization can recover quickly and effectively when disruptions occur. Whether facing a cyber attack, hardware failure, data corruption, or natural disaster, organizations must have clearly defined recovery goals, and these goals must be achievable, measurable, and aligned with business priorities. For CISSP candidates, the ability to define, apply, and manage RTO and RPO is a must. Let us begin by understanding the broader context, disaster recovery planning itself. Disaster recovery planning refers to the systematic process of preparing for, responding to, and recovering from major disruptions that affect business operations. While business continuity focuses on maintaining essential functions during a disruption, disaster recovery is about restoring systems and data after the disruption has occurred. An effective disaster recovery plan, often called a DR plan, outlines how an organization will restore technology infrastructure and services following an incident. It defines roles and responsibilities, specifies recovery procedures, identifies critical systems and priorities, and includes detailed instructions on how to respond. It also defines communication strategies to ensure internal coordination and external transparency during crises. A well-executed DR plan supports regulatory compliance, satisfies contractual obligations, and enhances organizational resilience. By preparing in advance and training teams to follow clearly documented procedures, organizations can reduce the impact of disruptions and return to normal operations faster. Disaster recovery is not about predicting every possible failure. It's about being prepared to adapt and recover when failure inevitably occurs. Now let's examine recovery time objective, or RTO. Recovery time objective is the maximum acceptable amount of time that a business process, system, or application can be offline following a disruption before unacceptable consequences occur. In simpler terms, it answers the question, how long can we afford to be down? RTO is a time-based target. It could be minutes, hours, or days, depending on the criticality of the service. For example, an e-commerce website may have an RTO of 1 hour because downtime results in lost sales. An internal reporting tool used once a week might have an RTO of 24 hours or more. RTO is not just a number, it is a business decision. It should be determined through a business impact analysis that considers the financial, legal, operational, and reputational consequences of downtime. Once RTO is defined, it shapes the selection of technologies, procedures, and staffing required to meet that recovery goal. Shorter RTO values typically require more expensive, complex solutions, like hot sites, failover clusters, and real-time data synchronization. Longer RTO values may be satisfied with traditional backups and manual restoration processes. Managing RTO effectively ensures that recovery efforts align with business expectations. It guides infrastructure investment, informs incident response timelines, and supports compliance with service-level agreements. Organizations that clearly define and manage RTO can respond with confidence when disruptions occur. Now let's move to a recovery point objective, or RPO. RPO refers to the maximum tolerable period in which data might be lost due to an incident. In other words, it defines the acceptable amount of data loss measured in time. If your last backup was completed at midnight and a server crash occurs at noon, the RPO would be 12 hours, assuming you are willing to lose that much data. If your business cannot tolerate more than 15 minutes of data loss, your RPO would need to be set accordingly, and your backup strategy would need to match. RPO influences decisions about backup frequency, data replication, storage architecture, and bandwidth requirements. Shorter RPO values require more frequent backups or continuous replication. Longer RPO values may be satisfied with daily backups or snapshot-based retention. Just like RTO, RPO must be based on business needs. Some organizations can accept partial data loss without major consequences. Others, such as financial institutions or healthcare providers, may face legal, regulatory, or customer impacts from even brief periods of missing data. Managing RPO effectively protects critical data assets, ensures compliance with data retention requirements, and supports reliable business continuity. The goal is to strike a balance between data integrity and operational feasibility, making sure the organization can restore not just the system, but also the data needed to function. For more cyber-related content and books, please visit cyberauthor.me. You'll find bestseller books, training tools, and resources tailored specifically for cybersecurity professionals. Also, there are other podcasts on cybersecurity and more at baremetalcyber.com. Now let's turn to implementing an effective disaster recovery plan. The first step is documentation. Your DR plan should include recovery procedures, system restoration sequences, emergency communication plans, and a schedule for testing and review. A key input into the DR plan is the Business Impact Analysis. The BIA helps define which systems are critical, what dependencies exist, and what the appropriate RTO and RPO values should be. Without a BIA, recovery planning lacks context and may either over or underinvest in critical areas. You'll also need technology that supports your objectives. This might include cloud-based backups, real-time replication, redundant infrastructure, or automated recovery workflows. The solution must match the need. You cannot promise a 10-minute RTO if your only backup is on tape. Testing is essential. A plan that is not tested cannot be trusted. Structured exercises, simulations, and tabletop drills help validate the plan, train the team, and identify any weaknesses. These tests should simulate realistic scenarios and involve both technical and business personnel. Training must extend to everyone involved in the recovery process. This includes IT teams, system administrators, business leaders, communications staff, and legal counsel. Everyone must know their roles and responsibilities, understand escalation paths, and be prepared to act under pressure. Let's now explore the security controls that support disaster recovery. Secure, redundant backups are fundamental. Data should be stored in multiple locations, ideally in geographically diverse regions, to protect against local disasters. Backups should be encrypted, regularly tested, and monitored for failures or inconsistency. Monitoring and alerting systems support recovery by detecting incidents early and triggering predefined response actions. These systems include network monitoring, system health checks, intrusion detection, and environmental controls. Access control during disaster recovery must be tightly managed. Recovery environments and processes often involve elevated privileges and sensitive systems. Use multi-factor authentication, role-based access controls, and secure communication channels to maintain integrity during recovery. Auditing is essential. Conduct regular assessments and vulnerability scans of your recovery infrastructure. Review configurations, validate documentation, and ensure that logs are collected and analyzed. These controls demonstrate compliance and help detect process drift. Maintain secure documentation of your recovery plans, test results, change logs, and audit trails. This documentation provides transparency and proves that your organization is managing disaster recovery with rigor and responsibility. Now let's close with continuous improvement in disaster recovery management. Plans should not remain static. Regularly review and update recovery procedures in light of new threats, changing technologies, and evolving regulations. Use incident data, recovery test results, and stakeholder feedback to drive improvements. If recovery took longer than planned, investigate why. If a backup failed, address the root cause. If communication broke down during a test, fix the process. Collaboration is key. Disaster recovery requires coordination across IT, business units, compliance, facilities, and executive leadership. Make recovery planning a shared responsibility and hold cross-functional reviews to align priorities. Keep training fresh. Personnel change, systems evolve, and memory fades. Make training part of the organizational rhythm with refreshers, drills, and role-based exercises. Thank you for joining the CISSP Prepcast by Bare Metal Cyber. Visit baremetalcyber.com for additional episodes, comprehensive CISSP study resources, and personalized certification support. Deepen your understanding of disaster recovery planning, RTO and RPO, and will consistently support your journey toward CISSP certification success.